Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Cryptosparta Podcast. Happy New Year's. I'm rocking my Cryptosparta shirt. You can hit me up if you want them. I've still got like 20. Didn't sell many. But we're going to jump in. We're going to do a New Year's kind of a year in review and a year looking forward episode. And we'll start off as usual with Brian checking in on the markets.
The market was kind of choppy, same as last week. Bitcoin was down this past week like 6.5%, and then ETH was also down 6.7%. So Bitcoin's at like 47,000, Ethereum's at like 3,800. And I think a lot of people were, wash selling this past week. Like altcoins got punished, people taking losses. For us, Urzels tanked a lot, people selling. But
the stuff in terms of like what was outperforming though, we were talking about how Jewel just keeps going.
Yeah, that was like a today thing, that today was just pumping a lot. And then it seems like Jewel is a game that actually has potential that people like. So that's also a good thing. And then, there's like these curve wars between Curve Finance and CV or CRV.
No, but then also
Convex and Curve.
That'll be a complicated topic to get into. And then
that was also one of the outperformers this week. And then Sushi was up, 20%.
And then also Daniele Sesta, they did the spell burn.
That's tomorrow.
Oh, that's tomorrow. So I mean, there's some speculation around that. But on Time had a good dip. Like Time was kind of down, but they're saying people are taking profits. Now that not only is there wash selling, but then in the new year, people take profits. Now that it's a new tax year season, so it's like you wait until after last year to then be able to sell on your new balance sheet. So then you can like people are waiting to take profits if they already took profits last year. Yeah. And I mean, these are kind of, maybe we can start off kind of like we're trying to do the segment stuff. So that's kind of like a brief overview of the market, but we can go into the tax implications and how that happened in the market and then what's looking forward. Cause it's like, I would say like from last year in review, you can do like a quick overall. It's a pretty great year for most people in crypto.
Yeah, a lot of people made money. Just like looking at the year charts, like if you just like invested in L1, if you recognize that theme of L1 blockchains, you would have made substantial money. Avalanche was like this year was up, 3,000%. So that's like what, 300x? I don't know. Not good at math.
Shout out my Phantom bag from 6
yeah,
cents.
Phantom went off. Yeah, now it's at 250, but the year it's been up 14,000%.
Yeah.
Solana was a big one, and then Luna, Matic, all those are like 14,000. Like,
I'd say one of the things that we could say though is like, I mean, yeah, I think every single one of them pumped, and so did Cardano, but relatively Cardano isn't doing crazy well.
No, Cardano's kind of been
the race since there's this whole, narrative of these things.
Yeah, but I mean, Cardano's still up. I think
it's still like kind of crazy. But I mean, the weird thing is, if we do the year
700%, so that's 7x.
You can talk about the whole year, but really there was like a big run up, like everyone's like euphoric up only. And then there was the pretty brutal correction where Bitcoin went from like, I mean, we really should have known once it hit 69K that people were going to just sell.
Yeah, I don't know.
Kind of, because I felt like it had gone up enough. Like, how many more buyers were there once you hit 69?
Yeah, exactly. Like most of the Bitcoin is like locked up or like majority of the Bitcoin are in wallets at you cannot be accessed anymore due to like people dying or like people losing their keys. So yeah, Bitcoin definitely, yeah, it's kind of crazy. I
Just like in
entered
terms of,
right.
we can talk about the year in review, but it was like, I think around like, what, like May, like when was like the big drop? Like there was like a whole trend of kind of slowly up and then like up only in euphoria. And then, I mean, it depends on when you were trading and when you were buying. Because if you just look at last January, I mean, I had been getting in before with ETH, and ETH had been pumping. And then January was when I opened my MetaMask and then moved some ETH into MetaMask to swap for Phantom. And that was like my first real altcoin trade. And then from there, different people got in. And I feel like, Brian, you got in kind of halfway up on the
Yeah, I
uptrend.
got in basically like right when it was rising. And I thought, my mindset was that, in April when it got to that local high of like 63, you know, this is it. It's gonna bounce even more. So I like even Link was pumping. Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna miss the
Yeah,
boat on
Link hit
Link.
like 50.
So I went like majority of my net worth at, like right before May, right before I remember buying ETH at 4,300, and then immediately after I bought uh ETH, it just started dropping. Like immediately after it started dipping. So yeah, that dip was in May. And so then yeah. So it's like if you entered like before March or like at the beginning of the year, you probably did pretty well, um yeah, even like March, if you recognize like ETH being like really expensive, like carding, like knowing that ETH didn't have that, wasn't like that scalable. Like if you pivoted to like L1s, like we had a buddy in our Cryptosparta chat show Matic at like, 25 cents back in March.
And then
Um,
it chilled 10x, right?
yeah, and then it just jumped because of the gas issues. And then like, if you realize that ETH was getting way too expensive to transact and just pivoted, you would have probably made it a ton of money from March on investing
It
in all
wasn't
these L1s.
it wasn't as bad as I thought, but I don't know if we talked about the gas airdrop, um, where they airdropped gas tokens based off of how much ETH you had spent.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I didn't
but
claim that one.
it was dumb. It was like I would have claimed like $8, and then it would have been like 60 to claim. But
But they
it showed your and you can also look it up on this website where they tell you how much gas you've spent. And I think I'd spent like 1,500 in ETH, which I was like, at least I don't hate myself. But there are
wait,
like some people
you mean
posting there.
dollars,
It's like,
not like ETH.
yeah, yeah, dollars.
Yeah, it's
No,
like 1,500
no,
ETH.
dollars. But there are some people who are like posting their like, how much ETH have you spent on transactions? And it's like disgusting.
It's like millions.
Yeah. But I mean, those people, it's like, it's kind of just weird because it's like, I mean, they were probably, it's just hard to tell because they might have been swapping into things that even outperformed ETH. Or it kind of just shows that you were probably trading things on ETH when ETH was like nothing. But
Yeah, that's true. But also, yeah, it just kind of like makes you shake your head if you like look at that chart and then it's like you probably better off holding, right? Like very few things outperformed, or maybe not a few things, but like probably like two handful, 10 things, probably like majority outperformed ETH.
well, and the interesting thing about it is they talk about how it impacts, you know, people's like you can't be a dumb retail person and aping on Ethereum, but the fees are minimal if you're like an institution. And so it makes it just harder. And then it kind of makes it so that there's like a, they talk about how blockchain and crypto is supposed to be for everybody, but then this is like a giant barrier for, you can't just be like buying $100 of altcoins. Like you can get whatever's on Coinbase, but and even they still kind of, if you're not trading volume, you're still kind of getting bled out.
Yeah, I mean, like people still look at the fees and complain about the fees on Coinbase. especially when the network is busy too, because I mean, even though you're buying on Coinbase, Coinbase is actually the one buying on Ethereum. So, it doesn't matter where you're buying Coinbase or Ethereum, it's dependent on, the network. And
Yeah.
so, like buying or like transacting on other L1s is like even more of a learning curve or barrier to entry. Like even for us trying to, add Avalanche or like, try
And I'll
to
say it again, that's
Solana.
where the money is made, because it's like whatever's hard for the average person to do, you're probably early. And that's why I'm like upset that maybe now we can kind of pivot to we have our weekly segment, and like we can do like some little it's the NFT update time. Um, but I'm upset that I hadn't gotten into NFTs before I did. After, like, it just always
Yeah.
I was late, and then I wasn't, and then I just happened to sell because I wanted some profits for myself to spend money, and I happened to get out at like a really good time. But after New Year's, they bounced. There's a lot of NFT action. I saw a chart where the volume on OpenSea in the first couple of days of the new year have been pretty high, and I think
Bored
that it's like
apes.
maturing as a space. Yeah, the Bored Apes have been going insane. There's all like we can talk
It's
about different.
crazy. Yeah. We could have bought a Bored Ape in like June. Like they were going for like one. You kind of cut out there, but yeah, they were going um they're able to fuck.
It's Colombia. Shout out from Colombia. Yeah.
Yeah, that just threw me off. But you could buy a Bored Ape for like, one or two. Like our buddy like sold the honorary ape for like 4 ETH. And now those are like 50 ETH.
Yeah. And it was no, and Eminem got one. Dave Chappelle bought one. Dave Chappelle's like account name is Follow White People too.
It's
But
not a
the
bad thing.
serums for the M3s for the really super rare. How many were there? 8?
Um yeah, there's only three left that haven't been used. I don't know how many there were at the beginning. But one of the co-founders of ETH, bought made a bid on an M1 or M3 serum for like 999 ETH. And so that was like $3 million, I think USD.
There's another bid for 1,420 ETH.
Yeah, and so
1,420.69. And
but
I don't
he
think they
actually, yeah, go ahead.
no, I don't think that they took it, and like they're talking about how there's like, all right, somebody 400, or what is it, like 4,269 ETH for the culture. Like the prices are going like insane. And the thing that I was gonna say was just this little story where I had been talking about it, and it was a really weird, funny story where this guy talked about how his girlfriend, he'd gotten some bonus, and his girlfriend asked for a fancy purse. It was on Twitter. And then instead of the fancy purse, he got a monkey, and it was a white guy. And then he gave her a Bored Ape when it was 8,000. And then the chick was like,
She sold it right away.
no, she was upset because she was like, you gave me a monkey and said it looked like me. Like, that's racist.
Oh,
And then it was like all these people on the internet. It's been like a funny day of just like Twitter people really hate NFTs. And I have my crypto Twitter, and then my public Twitter is like Andrew Yang red pilled Twitter. Like kind of, yeah, I don't know. And so, but I follow, it's like a lot of political stuff, and it's just been interesting to like talk with people. There's like these communist people who are really wonky that I follow, that's just kind of silly, who hate NFTs. And all these environmentalists hate NFTs, and they think it's so dumb. And they were
I
like, wait, so the chick thought it was racist. For one, that's dumb. But the dude got an 8K Bored Ape and gave it to her. That's probably worth a shit ton of money now. And then they were just like, all they were talking about was how they thought it was racist that a white guy gave a monkey to a black girlfriend and said that it looked like her. And I was like, but that's like a really dope investment. And people are like, NFTs are going to zero. And I was like,
I think there needs to be more
clearly have no
context
idea about
of
NFT.
what she, what made him think that it looked like her, like, because like
Well, it's
the
like
whole monkey
Eminem.
thing does,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Eminem
mean,
got the bored ape that looked like him. It's like a white bored ape that's kind of rare. And so people are trying to say that it looks like them or something, but
I think
I,
the traits with the what they're wearing, like the eyes are droopy, that like kind of reflects their personality. But I feel like she just didn't get the whole concept of like the bored ape,
yeah,
yacht
it was
club
just weird
kind of
because it was
thing.
like 8K that he spent. And it was like,
Yeah.
why didn't you just buy her the $500 bag she asked for?
Yeah, you can't just be giving the NFTs to like expensive NFTs to people that like
You don't understand it. Yeah.
don't get it. And so yeah, that's crazy.
It was really, yeah. And then it's just like the environmentalist people think that like the NFTs are going to zero and that it's like evil for the
Well,
environment.
even the game, there was a whole
The gamers also are getting against
debate
NFTs.
today, how they hate the NFTs are intersecting into gaming, but in reality, like they don't get that, it's gonna help
It'll be
them.
good for gaming. Because that was
Yeah.
what they were talking about. There was a really good meme where one of them was like an angry Wojak, like the classic just picture of like a sketch out of a person who's mad, and it was
Mhm.
like, no, I don't want NFTs in gaming. And then the second panel was like, oh sweet, like $100 downloadable content that I can't actually trade. And it's like the argument that I saw was actually really good, where I think NFTs will be good for gaming because it's like,
Provides
there's all these
utility.
skins. Exactly. And then you can actually sell it. And so instead
Yeah.
of just being stuck with something that you can't resell or trade or send, you're just paying for a skin that, okay, you have the skin now, or like the item or the weapon, but like NFTs make it so that it's tradable, which I
Yeah, and
think is
that's
going to,
the whole thing with DeFi Kingdom, right? Like the heroes are in an NFT format where it's like you have some utility, and like that's just been pumping crazy.
yeah, no, and I was going to say the utility, that was really a topic that I wanted to get to because I was trying to tell
That's a
people,
trend for
yeah,
2022.
they were like, the NFTs are just like meaningless. And I'm like, you clearly don't know about the new trends with utility. And yeah, we're still working on the Swagger Tooth project. We're moving forward with it. There'll be a coin going along with it. And I was talking with my cousin's friend, who German dude, he's deep into time. He's got like 150K worth of random NFTs. It was interesting. One of his was like gambling gorillas. And there's some sort of it's backed up by a casino that's like a digital casino, and I think it's for sports betting. And then some of the proceeds from the sports betting go to the holders of the gambling gorillas. And so it's like, and then it was weird because I didn't really understand the tokenomics, because I was hearing it like third hand, like my cousin was telling me what his friend was telling him. But
Mhm.
it was somehow, if you have the NFT, you have to stake it so that you don't sell it, and then you have to buy it, and then they're developing the casino, and you can't sell it until, or you don't get any of the profits or the proceeds from the casino unless you hold it for a while. And I think if you sell it, it like resets the amount of like rewards you get. But there's all these staking mechanisms for NFTs that are like, it's like money. It's DeFi. It's
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, strong nodes, for example, too. If you have like one of the gold NFT or like the strong gold or silver or bronze, there's three different types. If you hold one of those, you get like extra rewards when with your strong node. And
And I
so,
was, I was
yeah,
trying to explain the idea that NFTs are digital ownership. And there was Kevin Leary, Mr. Wonderland, or Mr. Wonderful, not Wonderland. He was like, NFTs will be bigger than Bitcoin. And when you hear and think about it, I really agree, because
Gary V too.
yeah, the idea of digital ownership and having a certificate of ownership, how many things in the world require these certificates or records? All of them will be on the blockchain. These are going to be contracts. These tokens are going to represent contracts. In the future, everything in a way will be an NFT in my mind, like your house deed or your insurance policy. It'll be, you call it an NFT, but it'll just be a proof of whatever you purchased.
Yeah, it's like electronic deed.
Exactly.
Basically, like
And so
for
they're
real
saying,
estate.
like, literally the art stuff it's going to be important, but the real NFT value has yet to be, like,
Yeah,
found.
real estate for sure had like a bunch of use cases. I know like one of my zero coin or failure or losses was labs, that labs coin, and it kind of just tanked. It was like such a good idea, but like they haven't really done anything. And so like the coin price has like just tanked. But same with like concert stuff, like Theta, like Katy Perry's like partnering with Theta as far as like having live or NFTs of like live concerts, like capturing that moment. So yeah, it's
I forgot what it stands for, but it's the POAP, POAP. I think I talked about it. The proof of attendance, I don't know, protocol, or
yeah, I
POAP,
don't
proof
know.
of attendance something. But like, like I got like the homie who likes to go to like those raves and those festivals where they put the little pins in their hat and stuff. The POAPs are going to be big, I think, to like show off where you've been or what you've done. The other uses of the NFTs, what's really going to be interesting and what's kind of scary but makes a lot of sense to me is there's some exchange, I think, that only allows you to send coins to a verified doxed wallet address. And they're like, this is gonna be the future. Like, they're gonna start tracking stuff. Because one of the interesting things is, if you NFT ownership of physical properties, and then you can start trading properties without the government knowing, and then you can avoid taxes. And like, oh yeah, like, I mean, and then they were talking about, I was just seeing somebody else, it's a 6% charge for real estate, like the, what's it called, the agents. Plus you got to go down to city hall, you got to pay for the records, the title, the change of the deed. If you just have like a holding company that buys these properties and then starts selling them as NFTs, and then you just like show your NFT and scan it to get into your house, and you start buying houses in different countries, you just ignore the governments, like, you can save a ton of money. And like, there's a lot of countries where you're not allowed to buy, like, Chinese can't buy shorefront property in Hawaii or something. They have all these regulations, or you have to pay extra money, or you have to like be an investor and jump through these hoops. And I mean, NFTs as immutable ownership rights, once it hits properties and like, dude, real estate agents, peace, like, I mean, once it happens, it's going to be weird too, because the governments are really going to want to crack down on this stuff.
Yeah, they could do it like in a smart contract where it's like, you put all the terms and whatnot, and then, that's how they transfer the NFTs.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that like going forward, that might be one of the trends in the future going forward, is like how governments are going to start cracking down. And it was one of the things where, like, somewhat adjacent to my political Twitter discussions, of there's a lot of things that used to be conspiracy theories that are becoming not conspiracy theories. And how vaccine passports, tracking your phone, and then they're talking about how the CBDCs and then social credit scores and communist takeover and chips in your arm. But I mean, it's very plausible. The stuff that we were talking about with the vaccines and all the COVID stuff that people didn't think was going to happen is happening. And I mean, people are on lockdown. There's a lot of surveillance, and anyways, people are being surveilled. And I think that privacy and tracking transactions, we can circle back to, you were talking about how the wash sales might be changed, the rules.
Yeah, I mean, I think they already changed. I think this was the last year. 2021 was like the last year that you could wash
I had
sale.
heard that they're gonna, like, the IRS, even if you did a wash sale where one day you sell and the next day you buy it back, they're like, that's done. Like, they're like, if it has to be like at least a month or something that you hold something.
Yeah,
But
I don't know when they actually ended it, or like there's no clear um articles saying that, Congress passed the law, but I that was just a rumor I saw on Twitter saying that this was like the last year that people were doing it. So that's why like 20 or on Friday and New Year's Eve, everyone was like selling.
so I see, like, I think in the year to come, I foresee regulation coming in. And then one thing, maybe we like bookmark this for the way future. And yeah, we got to do some reviews of all the
It's
pod.
in the Build Back Better Act.
Yeah, shout out Mansion.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, so they added that into the Build Back Better
yeah,
Act.
that didn't go through anyway, so that's sunk. But they'll probably try to sneak it into whatever next bill they monster that no one reads that has random crap in it.
Well, that
But
infrastructure bill will have something in like 2024. I think no, it says like the provision will not take effect until January 2024. So if that bill ever gets passed, which, whatever, um 2024 is when, they need to fix it, or they need to like, because that also includes that security definition, which wasn't good for crypto that we talked about like a couple months ago.
yeah,
But
what I was gonna say was the prediction that not only will the government be trying to track transactions, but additionally, I think that interacting with certain protocols will be made illegal, like Tornado Cash. And I mean, I didn't really do a deep dive, but we had talked about it before, where you just put your money in Tornado Cash, and it's like a VPN where they swirl the money around in different places, and then you can tell them to spit it out somewhere else in some undoxed wallet. But at the end of the day, with crypto, uh, hardware wallets, like, what are they going to do? You can just literally take your net worth and put it on a USB and fly out of the country and disappear. So, I mean, this is a threat. It's a threat.
yeah, we'll see what they plan to do. I don't know. It's definitely a topic. You know, it's a point of emphasis in Congress, I guess. Like, last week we were talking about the stable coins. So they gotta step up, and I think the regular, or like the crypto CEOs, or like the big players, they want regulation, but they want it, they just want a clear picture to like, because they're kind of like holding their hands, or like they're just sitting on their hands, trying to, they not being able to do anything, just idling until they get some, a clear picture of what to do.
I think on a similar but somewhat like a adjacent topic is for the future. I mean, DeFi is definitely just going to grow, I think, a lot. And one of the things was Chamath talking about how Visa and MasterCard are going to get screwed.
Yeah, I did see that, or I saw that headline.
I mean, he's totally right. I mean, the exorbitant prices, and people are talking about how easily they can get really good loan terms on DeFi, and how awful traditional finance does, and how Visa and MasterCard, their loan terms are disgusting. And then also how like 0.05%, 0.5% or something for leaving your money in a bank. And
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. And then you have it's like just like it's like crazy because it's like you otherwise if you don't leave your money in a savings account or like a certain amount of money, they'll charge you like the maintenance fee to have you like hold it.
no, and
So
meanwhile, this is kind of maybe we can get into the curve wars now, because it was really down, and you should probably pull up that thread and like try to summarize it.
yeah,
But while the banks will charge you for not having a minimum, I mean, I guess it's kind of the same idea, or like, they'll give you bad rewards. Crypto protocols are begging people to put stable coins in or any type of collateral, but mainly there's a shortage of stable coins because want people want to borrow stable coins. And so the backing is always in crypto, and then you're always sketched out where, okay, is this crypto actually, and so then the premium for just lending stable coins has increased to like a very high amount.
well, there's just no the pools get drained up because people are borrowing like those people are like whales, so they're
Yeah.
borrowing obscene amounts of stable coins.
Yeah. And so, I mean, with the curve wars, from what I understood in a layman's term, and maybe Brian can deep dive into it a bit more, is the idea that what people in the stable coins need.
Daniel's internet cut. I'm gonna try to take over. But just some background on Curve. Like Curve is a stable coin DEX. So that's why Daniel was kind of talking about
Buying it.
uh yeah, you cut off. I didn't hear anything, but I was explaining
Yeah,
what Curve was.
yeah, no, I saw.
But yeah, it's a stable coin DEX. And so typically like people like incentivize by providing their own liquidity to the pool. But for Curve, you can, add Curve into the token and it allows people to like token holders to vote on where the liquidity should go, I guess.
And then Daniele Sesta is like trying to hoard it, right?
Yeah, there's these curve wars. So it's like they're bribing. They want the more votes you have, the more power you have in where the direction or where the APY or where the stable coins should go or like which stable coin they should focus on. And so there's all these like almost fighting for or buying up curve, spell, frax, yearn. And so basically like they're just bribing, trying to because if they bribe them by like, giving them tokens, but it's actually cheaper than offering, putting spell in the liquidity provider. So that's why they're this way is like a more efficient way.
Yeah, so everybody's competing for basically the cheaper liquidity. And then now it's just like pumping or whatever.
Yeah, so yesterday it was pumping, like it was up, or convex was up, 30%, curve was up 30%, and then it kind of got sold a little bit. But there was a good analogy that, someone tweeted that I liked. And they kind of compared it to like OPEC or like oil and how, wait, I'm trying to pull it up. Yeah, if CRV is crude oil and which is curve, and then CVX is OPEC, bribes to OPEC decide where the crude oil flows, basically. But yeah, that was one of the outperformers of this past week, since everything was like getting sold up. Yeah, I don't know if he explained that well. But
You want to do some more predictions, and then maybe we move to the shills? Like, I'm trying to think of what else we have to look forward to, because I think like regulations, growth of DeFi, we kind of covered, and NFTs.
NFT utility.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think DeFi is gonna get another run here. That's what I mean. I'm selfishly hoping, because that's been a lot of my focus or research it has been, and just like I think just more just building on these L1s, and then maybe getting into L2s.
I think like one of the things too is going to be, I think Danielle Sestad talked about it, where it's like slowly the onboarding process, and then what's going to happen, like hopefully, Ursdal and like other people, where you have things where average people are going to be using stuff backed by crypto without knowing it. Like they have to make it more user friendly. Like they have to make it easier to onboard, and that's just a work in progress for everybody. And like it's funny because I'm still like really bullish on Phantom, and it's like it's hard to get to Phantom, or it's hard to get Phantom and get stuff on. And like Wonderland, it's hard to like for the average person to buy AVAX, move it to a wallet, and then swap it on Joe. Like it's hard enough for people to do that on ETH, and then now people are turned off by ETH. Like the average person with a little bit of money, I think it's going to be easier for them.
Yeah, I think also too, you have like this whole Web3 marketing thing, and I think you're actually seeing more, web developers that are working for Web2 companies like move over to Web3, because there's actually stuff being built. Because
did we mention the Apple giving the $180,000 bonus to keep their top engineers?
Yeah, there's a huge shift in talent shifting to Web3, because the draw of Web2, or like being a software developer at like Google or like Facebook or whatnot, is the solid yearly annual salary, and then the stock options and that kind of stuff. But now with all the money flowing into
Still make more
Web3,
money.
and they'll be actually more fulfilling, or like they'll take a new challenge of
and I'd say
building
one
up.
of the things, I'm just thinking to my Twitter and like dabbling back and forth with my personal political views, but Google's censoring fucking Joe Rogan. I mean, if you look up mass formation psychosis, it's like, oh, so some of these results are changing. I think that there's going to be some sort of Web3 social media. I think that people are getting kind of disgusted with the big tech censorship. People are getting fed up with Twitter, like all these Facebook, these little, check out the real info about COVID vaccines. And like,
Isn't it just going to be 4chan though? Like, if you have a decentralized like social, people just say whatever they want. Like, right? It's going to be a lot of like
they'll do digital identity. That's another thing that's going to definitely come up. And then they were talking about how the governments are going to do that. That's the conspiracies, that it'll be a social credit score. You'll have a digital identity that they track. And then when you post on Twitter, your loans are going to increase in percentage. Like,
I think there's going to be like a credit score or social credit score on the decentralized social network. Cause like no way you're going to be able to like just say racist shit or whatnot, or like, just like, bring up stuff with no basis.
But I mean, that's the thing, is that people will be recognized. It will be,
there's going to be like cryptographical truth, right, with Chainlink oracles. So it's like, if you lie,
people will be tracked, and so if you say racist stuff, they'll still know that it's you. And then that's the whole idea, is even if you're on Twitter and you're anonymous, people will still track you and stuff. And I mean, I think that the idea that's the whole thing, is like, is the digital identity. We already have digital identities, and we're already being tracked. They already track our credit cards. They already track what we spend. They track our taxes. I track how much we make. And so then in the future, are we going to keep anonymity, and will our digital identities, I mean, they're already talking about merging your ENS or tying it to your MetaMask. And I mean, people already have these digital identities, your MetaMask is gonna, I mean, there's the meme about like, oh, you got hacked. Like, is it my bank account? Like, or was it my MetaMask? Like, no, like, no, it's just my bank account. Like, my digital wallet is super important to me.
And people are getting hacked on OpenSea left and right. Like
idiots. Yeah, the Bored Ape people are. Do you see the guy? That was one of the Bored Ape guys who, I had my kids' tuition in this. Like, I took out a second mortgage. It's like, wow, idiot. And then he just like swapped it, and like he was like, all right, I'll give it to you. You just send me some ETH.
Yeah, wink, wink. Right. So it's like, yeah. But
I think there's a lot of stuff. We covered some of the things that we think we're gonna see going forward. You want to hit some shows?
Yeah, I think last time I showed Time and Ohm, but I think I showed the wrong Danny coins. So I think sushi, or like, I mean, if you're like thinking that the burn tomorrow or will like in fact affect spell, like buy some spell, and then the burning will, hopefully increase the price, and then that might be a quick flip. But I think I'm overall long on like these. It's not a bad idea to just allocate, like, if you have like 5,000, put like 1,000 into like sushi, 1,000 into ice, 1,000 into spell or whatnot, and have some time and just bullish on that whole ecosystem. But also, I think Curve is pretty accessible too. Curve you can buy on Coinbase. And then there's a lot of staking options. It's basically like a DeFi platform, but being able to, once you stake, you can like play around. You get like a usable token or liquid token. There's a lot of thing about liquid staking going around, which basically is what you stake it, and then they give you like an X version of the stake version of that token where you can farm and stuff. But yeah, I think Curve and Daniele or Danny coins.
Yeah. I've got a couple, and like I'll just try to rattle through them real quick. But looking at metrics for total value locked and number of users, bullish on Phantom.
Yeah, Cosmo too. Or I think that like the L ones that haven't popped off yet are like haven't really like are kind of lagging behind like the big three, I should say, or like a Salunavax. I think those have a chance too to play catch up and bounce back.
Yeah, and I saw it with Cosmos where people were like bullish on the Cosmos ecosystem, but not the actual token.
Yeah, because I think like I was reading something earlier where like Luna uses some Cosmos technology to bridge or like connect between protocols built on Luna or something. So Cosmos is like part of the ecosystem, part of the infrastructure.
Yeah, and I'm trying to. Do you remember? Because even I don't remember. I just went to the random meetup. The Cosmos coin that was like about storage space and like oh man, I'm trying to Google it right now, but I forgot what it was. It was like, oh man, I mean, whatever. We'll have to go back and remind me next week. But there was like another coin on Cosmos, and then so yeah, just random coins. Like I kind of got like some like the deep value ones where my other shill is like my idea is don't spend too much money the NFTs I'm bullish on, and get cheap NFTs, like just like sprinkle money on the not ETH NFTs and hope that one of the other ETH killers pops off and you're like happen to have some like OG NFTs on like a random, because I know Phantom, like Anoop's like getting all these.
That's
I
such
don't
a
even know
hard
what's on.
ask.
Yeah,
Like, like, oh,
that's like some deep stuff where it's just like that's like a real gamble, but like don't gamble
yeah.
too much.
It's just like
Um,
buying a Shiba dog for 0.02 ETH, right? Like,
yeah,
I don't
yeah, you
know.
cross your fingers, but yeah. Besides Phantom and like just random NFTs on the other L1s
Near
and
Protocol too has been popping
that
off.
one coin that I forgot. Yeah. Um, there was one more that I was gonna go for. Um, but maybe let's just call it on that. Like bearish on dollars.
That's
Like
that's a pre or was it a cliffhanger for next week's episode?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Find out what coin Daniel wants to shill next.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think we got a good wrap up, or we try to explain some stuff. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but thanks for tuning in. This is the first podcast of 2022. And Daniel, or he's back, but
Yeah, yeah. Well, last question. What's the market cap at the end of the last year
the total market
or
cap
next year?
of so
Crypto.
right now it's 2.3 trillion. So I think it's safe to say that like 2x's, right?
Yeah. Like over 3 for sure.
Yeah, I'd say it's a 2x. I think it makes sense because there's all this institutional money now going in.
Institutions buy our bags. Let's go.
Yeah.
2022.
All right.
Yep.
Peace.
Peace.